Hello, Speaker Posse, and everywhere else this is streaming out there on the interwebs. My name is Clinton Young. I'm an international keynote speaker and coach for aspiring world-class speakers. And I've got one of those people on the line today. One of the guys that went through my program, a couple of my programs for world-class speakers. He's a purpose-driven entrepreneur with a message, burning desire to get that message out there to the world and make an impact with his expertise. And this gentleman's expertise happens to be real estate. This guy's been in the game for what, 30, 40 years, Rob? Something like that, right? 30 plus?
A long time.
A long
count of the years.
He's like, easy there. I'm only 40. Right? He's been in the game since he was 10. And this is Mr. Rob Hanson. He's a real estate investor. This is really key. He's a real estate investor for 30 plus years, and he's a real estate, I believe you're a broker, right? Not just an agent.
I'm a broker, yes.
A broker as well. So I'm going to have him tell you a little bit about his background and what offering he has to the world. Don't go into the offering just yet. We'll talk about that later. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Rob. Where are you coming in from today?
Yeah, so I'm in New Jersey. I grew up in a real estate family. My dad was a real estate broker and an appraiser, and so I feel like I have some generational wealth there, which kind of gives you learn a little bit as you sit at the kitchen table and you hear the
wealth of knowledge.
Stories. Yes, exactly. It's all the horror stories, right? So nobody talks about the easy stuff.
Yeah, you might have to tell us the story about with the chickens and the cartels and all that crazy stuff. Maybe today, maybe not. I don't know. But just tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do as an investor and as a broker, and who do you work with?
Well, so Clinton, you know the real estate investing shows that you see on TV. Yeah. All those people that are highlighted on there, they started out somewhere.
Yes,
just like me. And I will tell you that as a real estate investor, you rarely remember. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't remember only the last one that you did, the first one that you did, and any disasters, right? So and you're not really an investor until you've had at least something where your chest is beating so hard, you don't know what you're going to do or how you're going to survive it, but that's it's just the reality of it. So I think on the reality TV shows, they show you there's always some drama involved, and there's always drama involved in what I do usually. Nothing ever goes as planned in this because there's only so much information you have to work with today, because it's such a fast-paced real estate market that you have to make quick moves, and sometimes you don't have all the facts.
So, Rob, when you're coaching your students, and you're coaching the people that are, I know you work with agents. You also work with people that want to become more investors, and a lot of times they're the same person. They're an agent who got in the game because they really want to get into real estate investing, and they got the real estate license. So, tell us, based on what you just said, like, what are some of the key qualities that you need to have in order to be successful? Because you just said, there's a lot of stuff that you get a lot of right hooks and left, curveballs thrown at you in real estate. So what are some of the qualities you need to have to be successful?
So, yeah, great question. The biggest qualities, there's probably 2 or 3 big ones, but discipline is number one. Like whatever you're going to do, you have to continually do it over and over again. You can't keep switching your model, right? That's a killer. And then the second thing is like, really the biggest thing you could do here is develop relationships, because when you develop a relationship, someone will think of you and say, oh, I have to call Rob because he'll buy this in a heartbeat if the numbers all work. And I get a lot of deals through relationships, and I get a lot of special favors through relationships. I could be jammed on a project, and I need somebody to get out there and do an inspection or whatever. And, if you can pull a relationship, that's really important.
100%. So discipline to be successful. And this is true in all entrepreneurial endeavors, I would argue. Discipline, especially being a speaker as well. I'm going to actually parlay that into a speaking thing here in a sec. So I know we got a lot of speakers and a lot of aspiring speakers here on the line. So discipline. And then the second one was, it was right there on the tip of my tongue. Relationships, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to argue that there's another one as well, right? And that is something that I've learned from listening to you on a lot of our coaching calls about going out and getting the repetitions. What I mean by that, right? I'm using my word for speaking, getting the reps. But what I hear you talk about is you got to see tons of houses. You just got to keep seeing houses and see the values. And eventually, like someone like you can walk into a house and be like, oh, this is worth this, because you know your market, because you've had the repetitions. It's worth this. The problems are X, Y, and Z. You can see it, right? You have that deepened level of awareness that the newbies just don't have, right? So talk to us about that, using the term repetition, right? Using that kind of philosophy that you and I know we talk a lot about as speakers. We got to get the reps. We got to get on stages. We got to get on Facebook Lives. We got to get comfortable with it. How does that relate to real estate? Talk to us a little bit more about what I just shared.
Yes. So repetitions are really critical, because if you know your market, right? In my world, if you know your market, you can predict what a property is going to sell at, right? It goes on the market. I can say within a couple $1,000s. Now, this is a crazy market we're in now, because stuff is selling over asking price with 10 offers, right? So in normal markets, you can predict, right? And so the one thing that an aspiring investor can do today is learn the market that they want to be in, whether it's a neighborhood or a town, and get to the point where you can kind of accurately predict what the sale price is going to be. And then you can start to put the numbers together. But I do have to tell you, Clinton, that one of the things that's really helped me in my investing has been working with you on clarity, right? So clarity is another thing, right? So I, in a lot of respects, you could say that I was all over the map with not really with my messaging, but with how to present my message, right? And the clarity of that has been invaluable to me through your course, right? So course is now.
Yeah. We've been working together now for several months, and it's been a real pleasure working with you and getting to know you. And you're right. Like in the beginning, when we're talking about why do we feel called to speak, and then taking from that, like who then do we really feel called to speak to? Who do we feel called to serve? Who are we equipped to serve, right? Because I'm a firm believer, Rob, that everything happens to us in our lives for a certain reason, and it prepares us for exactly what we're doing right now, right? Yeah. So as we continue to work together, what happened was with that clarity, you started to get more clarity around also your business model, right? Like, okay, how do I actually add the most value to the marketplace in a very unique way, and in a way that's really suited for exactly what has happened to you in your life, and exactly who you feel called to serve and how you can serve them best. And that happens to be those newbie real estate agents, right? That want to either grow their real estate practice by learning how to work with investors, where now these agents are doing multiple deals because they're working with investors and they understand how to do that. And those real estate agents who also want to get in the game themselves and actually become investors. And you are like, I can't think of anyone better than you, Rob, the real estate guide, who I just changed your name there, Rob, the real estate investor guide, Hanson, right? To actually help them, because you got 30 plus years investing and as an agent and broker. So beautiful. I love that you've gotten clarity through my programs, and I love that you're starting to have more and more success. So who do you work for? I know you have a business as a coach and an investor, and then you also are a broker. I believe you're a vice president of some, you got a fancy title. I don't know what it is. Tell us about that.
I think you get something like that with years of experience, right? So mainly I work with real estate investors, and most of them happen to be real estate agents, and a lot of them work with me either directly in my office, or if they're out of my market and they can't affiliate with me, then I work out with them directly to how I can help them, right?
Got it.
But there are four main areas that new investors really need to focus on, and it's finding properties, which I believe I'm an expert at that, right? It's then fixing the properties, funding the properties, and then ultimately selling the properties, right?
Yeah.
So
I would take out the I believe. I would take out the I believe. You are an expert at finding properties, Rob. Don't be humble. You are an expert at finding, funding, fixing, and selling. And you know what? I know you probably lean more towards some of those, but then you have the relationships like you talked about and the team, people like Mark the Lender Abramovich, for example, right? For the funding side, you've got not only do you have your own resources in your own knowledge, but you also have this team. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's super important to have a team because property goes on the market in today's environment and every investor gets notified right away and they get out there and they start looking at properties and the information that you needs to be done basically within hours, and the paperwork that you need to put in an offer to get one of these properties, right? And so you need your team to know how you operate and how you need to work and getting your pricing so that you can make a fair, reasonable offer and make a profit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do they find, fund, fix, and sell, right?
Yes.
So those are the areas that you help these new investors and new real estate agents who want to become investors. Those are the areas that you help them to grow in and so that they can start doing deals, right?
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is people get their real estate license and people get into investing because they want a better life, right? They want financial independence. They want to get freedom from their job and they want freedom of time, and that's, anybody can do real estate investing. Like you said, you need the clarity, the repetitions of doing it over and over again. And really you need a guide in the beginning who's going to help you not make those mistakes like I've made in the past. And one of the things that which was hard for me to share with you in the beginning I come as an expert real estate investor, and I didn't want to ever tell a story where I either made a mistake or I had a problem or I almost lost everything, right? And I have those stories, and you brought the silver lining out of that is that those stories are the most critical stories that I can share and help, because I've been, as a lot of investors have been, you can't predict a pandemic or you can't predict a sudden market shift where quite frankly, people don't have to pay their rent. And now how do you manage that, right? So savvy investors who've been burned always have a backup plan.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to work on your storytelling process, right? That we've worked on, right? I'm going to give you a chance to do that right now. Share with us one of those stories, because we've kind of teased the audience here a few times with these disaster stories, right? And people want to know, like, how do you overcome these things? So share with us maybe one of your craziest stories. Give me the Cliff Notes version of a story that really was challenging for you in real estate and how you overcame it.
So this is I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version, but this could be a 5-season mini series, right? So, so basically, I've been real estate investing for 25 years. And right before the market went up in 2004 or 5, I went to California and I had been a super experienced real estate investor, and I bought a property out of the bankruptcy court, and all was well. And then, I just thought I was, Superman in the investing world. And, I missed some red flags. I didn't miss them. I just turned my head the other way because, I wanted to do this in the worst way. And I got involved where I held a huge second mortgage. And there was a predator who took me almost for everything, and it almost sank me after years and years and years of growing myself. Then that story involved an organic orange ranch with chickens and orange trees and wildfires, and the person who bought it, unbeknownst to me, was a convicted felon of wire fraud, elder fraud. Got caught with human trafficking, bringing people across the border.
Oh my goodness!
And it just the whole story got crazier and crazier as it unfolded. But the one thing about that is that that was a predatory situation, which you do have to be careful about in real estate investing. But the one thing is that a victim usually doesn't have a plan, right? So I didn't have a plan. I wasn't prepared for that. So it's just something that you always in real estate investing have to have a fallback. Like, okay, well, if my situation is I'm going to fix and flip, right, and take profit, I need to have a fallback, which is either I can wholesale the property out or I'm going to rent it out and sit on it until the market improves. So the numbers have to work in all three areas, right?
Yeah. So biggest lesson I'm hearing you talk about there, as an investor that you got out of that is you got to have multiple exit strategies, right? You really have to have multiple plans where the numbers work in all three. Otherwise, you got the chickens and the cartel and and the wire fraud. You got some crazy stuff. So if you want to hear more of Rob's story, you want to hear more about that, you definitely want to get in touch with Rob. So why don't we actually share it now with the audience? How can people get in touch with you if they want? If they're out there and you're an investor and you're getting started, maybe you've done a few deals, maybe you haven't done any deals. Maybe you're an agent, maybe you're not. And also there are agents out there who want to grow. Like I said, they want to grow their number of sales per year. And they want to do that by working with investors. And before I actually have you share how they can get in touch with you, tell us the story about, like, you have a gentleman, at least one. I know you have at least one. You probably have multiple, but one gentleman you talked about in your office, how you taught him how to work with investors and what happened with his results. So tell us about there, especially the agents out there that really don't get, like, why would I want to work with investors? Speak into that just for a few minutes and maybe share that quick story.
Yeah, so Tom got his real estate license. He had a friend who was an investor, right, which helps. But he knew, working with me, he knew how to really bring value to himself and create himself as a huge asset for this guy. And in 12-month period, he did 45 transactions. They weren't large transactions, 6.7 million in sales, but so what happens there is they buy them, they fix them, and then they sell them. So you're getting multiple transactions out of each person. And it's way easier to work with a person like that than it is to work with just somebody who wants to sell their house and buy their house. So you can get multiple transactions. And just a quick story about what happened to me was years and years and years ago, it was in January in the Northeast. It was about 5 degrees outside, and I was brand new, and an agent came to me and said, "Hey, can you do an open house for me?" And I said, "Yes, I can." And he said, and I said, "Just give me the address. I'll prepare all the paperwork and I'll get the balloons and I'll go there on Sunday afternoon." And he said, No, I'll do all that for you. I should have known then. When I got to the house, it was a shell, and there was no heat, and it was about -4 degrees inside the house. But I stayed there because I had given my word that I was going to do this open house, and it was published out there everywhere. And the only couple that came in and they said, "It's too cold for us. We have to leave. We're not interested." But the next day they called me, and they happened to be real estate investors, and they did 12 transactions with me that year. So
hold on. You're glossing over a little bit here. So when they called you and they said, if you're willing to sit there in that frozen ice box of a house, then you're the kind of agent that I want to work with as an investor, right? That's what they said. And you end up doing 12 transactions with them. So if you're just joining us, a lot of people are joining late here, and you're going to watch the recording as well. We're here with Rob, the real estate investor guide, Hanson, out of New Jersey. This is an expert in real estate investing, as well as he's also a real estate broker, 30, 40 years, tons of experience. And we're about to share how you can get in touch with Rob if you have any interest in learning more about how you could have your guide. You could have your own real estate guide in Rob Hanson. So Rob, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way? And I'm going to pop it up on screen for you.
Best way is to send me an email there you go, the reinvestorguide@gmail.com. And I'll get back to you as quick as I can, and we'll schedule a call and see how we can work together, how I can help you, and what particular issues you might have, or you just want to learn.
Awesome. I know Rob's got a new program coming out soon, so definitely reach out to him with his email and find out if you qualify to be one of his students, right? You have to go through a little bit of a process, right? He doesn't work with everybody, just like, anybody who's high quality. You can't work with everybody, A, because he only has so many hours in a day and he's running multiple businesses, and B, as an entrepreneur, one of the good things is you get to kind of choose who you work with, right? So if you're not a hard charging person that is like ready to be coachable and actually do the work, then please do not email Rob. But if you are somebody who is really, really hungry and you want to get into real estate investing, you've been wanting to get in for a while, maybe you're a real estate agent, you want to grow your practice by becoming a real estate investor as well, and you're willing to do the work to get the repetitions, just like world-class speakers, world-class investors and agents, you've got to be willing to do the work. If you fit that category and that description, then and only then please email Rob Hanson, because Rob is your real estate guide. And if you want a direct access to his calendar, I'm going to pop this up here. I don't know if he thought I was going to do this, but I'm going to give you his calendar as well. And you can book directly into his calendar and skip the email step. It's a little bit of a longer link here, but I'm going to hold that up there for a couple minutes so you can write that down and schedule directly into Rob's calendar. This guy is willing to give you 30 minutes of his time for free to talk about your real estate goals and your investing goals. So, Rob, it's been awesome having you on the show today. Any last bit of advice before I share how people can learn more about my speaker posse, which is for aspiring world-class speakers and purpose-driven entrepreneurs that want to grow their business by becoming a world-class speaker? What are your last parting words for?
So I have two things that I would like to share. One is real estate and real estate investing. It's not easy. It's very hard and it can be very risky. So reach out to me. Let's have a conversation on that. Number two, if you really want to get clarity around your message and you really want to grow yourself as a speaker and as a person and a business, you should speak to Clinton about that, because it's done so much for me, giving me the clarity and the confidence to just be able to help people, right? And I didn't have a clear outlet for that, and now I do. So thank you for that, Clinton. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah. I really appreciate those kind words. And for those of you that want to become part of the Speaker Posse, it's a collective of badass speakers from all around the world at varying levels of success and varying levels of the stage of their career. You can do that for free at speakerposse.com. That's just a free Facebook group. I just put the pretty link in there to make it easy for you. And then also some of the things that Rob's been talking about today around becoming a better speaker and getting that clarity to be able to grow his business as a real estate investor. I have my top 7 world-class speaker secrets. Top 7 world-class speaker secrets. I'm going to give all of them to you right now for free. And you can get those at worldclassspeakersecrets.com. Just to give you an idea, one of these, literally just one of these, I invested over $5,000 with one of my mentors to learn just one of these top 7 secrets. I'm going to give you all 7 plus a bonus 8th for free. You can get those at worldclassspeakersecrets.com. Again, my name is Clinton Young. I'm here with Rob, the real estate investor guide, Hanson, expert in real estate. Definitely reach out to him and get scheduled on his calendar so that you can see if you qualify to become one of his students in his upcoming program. So Rob, thank you so much for being here. To everyone else, I want to say this: think big, say yes, and take action. Remember to always think big, say yes, and take action. Bye for now, guys.